Hello, this is Helena on Intimate Space. In this video, I'm going to talk about male sexual fear. It's a term that I came up with myself, sexual fear, and in particular, the sexual fear that men have, which is different from what women have and the reasons behind that. It's kind of a topic that I've been observing and contemplating and have been thinking about over the years. I haven't heard much about it or read much about it, and I want to put this out here as this is my observation, these are my thoughts on it. Maybe it will click with some of you and resonate with some of you. So there are quite a lot of men out there who don't know, they feel very lost when it comes to navigating a female body. They feel very lost with how to give a woman pleasure or facilitate a pleasurable sexual orgasmic experience for a woman. They just don't know what to do. I think that quite a lot of it is ignorance about anatomy, is ignorance about how a female body is different from yours, how but there's something deeper going on as well. It can be, I'm not saying that Googling the clitoris and the G-spot is going to solve all confusion, but you can look it up. There are a lot of good materials online, educational materials, and yet many men they're just not looking at it, and they're not looking into it. And it just feels like, from what I've observed when I've been with, I can compare being with a man who is feeling confident and quite experienced with women, and being with a man, being in bed, being intimate with a man who has very little experience. And what I've observed from men who have had little experience is there is what feels to me like quite a bit of fear going on about what they're encountering here, what experience they're stepping into. And it made me think about how sexuality and intimacy as a container, it's almost like a different world that you step into. How ready and willing are you to be altered by this experience? How ready and willing are you to step into the unknown, into another country? It's like a woman's body is another country. We speak a different language here. We have different customs, different values, and the feminine makes a different contribution as well to the sexual encounter, to the intimate encounter. Sometimes I've seen, it was once one man, he was about 27, who I was seeing, and there were years between sexual episodes, and he relied mostly on porn. And he didn't have obviously much experience in really getting to know a woman and facilitating a pleasurable experience for her. He's quite sexually immature, basically. Essentially what it is an immature masculinity, sexually immature masculinity. And what I noticed was, when I was guiding him and my pleasure was escalating, my experience was escalating, he'd never been to that place with a woman. He had never seen a woman who was on the edge of an ecstatic letting go or surrender, a woman communing with spirit, letting the spirit of ecstasy move through her. And so he gave up, he stopped. And I was thinking, there's a phrase, don't stop. That's because people are stopping, they're giving up. Men are, sometimes as women is going, escalating up the pleasure ladder, he will then just give up, just when he's so close, when she's so close to orgasmic release, to ecstasy. And I was reflecting on this and thinking, he was in overwhelm. He felt overwhelmed by this. He wanted to stop. It's fine. It takes time to build capacity for that. I'm not judging him in that. I'm just noticing and trying to learn more about what makes a man stop and hesitant and not want to go into this, go further up and let the woman have more and more ecstasy and pleasure. Why is he curbing it? Why is he trying to limit my pleasure or not going any further? First of all, the nervous system, your capacity to witness something you've never seen before, your capacity to feel immense amounts of pleasure, your capacity to go very deeply with someone. When someone is in an ecstatic state, they might look a bit strange, actually. They might be writhing around, their eyes might be rolling back, she might be in a state where you've never seen before, snot coming out her nose, and a loss of control. And it takes quite a strong nervous system capacity to breathe through that, to keep going through those waves of uncertainty and those waves of ecstasy that you're facilitating in the woman. It does look like something you've never seen before. I remember the first time I observed a birth. So I studied medicine originally, and part of that was being on the obstetrics ward and standing at the other end of the bed and witnessing two women giving birth. I did it throughout a night shift. And I was about 22 years old, and I just felt completely overwhelmed. I wanted to puke. I wanted to crawl into bed, never come out. It felt too much to witness it. And what I understood is, there was trauma in me that I hadn't worked through. And it was the first time I'd seen that. I was really there in life, in birth and death. They all belong in this house that we like to try and shove out in modern life. The house of birth, death, transformation. And sex is a space which is about death, birth, and transformation. When you go into an intimate container, I think you should be ready to die. You might have an ego death. If a man comes into a bed with me, I'd like him to be willing to die, and be reborn and be returned to himself, and me too. I don't know what's going to happen when I let go. Another thing is this, that sex is a merger. And I think some men start to realize, as the passion goes up, as the woman's arousal rises, pleasure rises, it's almost like this merging, spiritual merging can happen. And I think what sometimes happens is men realize just how intense this is, how real this is. Sex is sold to you as, make sure you get plenty of it, and it's dressed up as this cool thing that you should be really active in, having lots of women, so on, having lots of sex. It's, if you're really having it, you don't need to repeat it the next day with someone else. It's been a huge event. It could alter you. Anything can happen spiritually to you in that container. You don't know. And it is a merging, really. And I think that sometimes men are surprised by how much feeling comes up. They're suddenly flooded with emotions, with intensity, and many men are not used to being having an overflow of emotion and intensity washing over them. That's something that Taoism talks about, is the contribution of the feminine is the heart opening. It opens the gates to emotion. You feel what's there, maybe for the first time. Maybe a man who's with a woman who's really connected to her heart, connected to pleasure, will feel things that he's never felt before when he's with her. And that can be quite jarring and surprising, and maybe he'll need to pause and kind of tap into what the hell is going on here. I've been told, one lover that I had told me, it's magic being with you. It's magic. I don't know how else to say it. There's a magic here. I was thinking about that, and I think it's presence. I think it's really being here with myself and with you. So many of us tap out and dissociate, disappear when we are really intimate with someone else. When we are really being seen and felt and smelt and heard and witnessed in our totality. When you touch me, you touch upon my whole life. You touch upon my conscious and my unconscious. You touch upon everything that's ever happened, that's been forgotten about and stored away in corners of my being. And the same goes for you. So there's some reflections here about if you feel like your partner is limiting, they're stopping just when pleasure is about to happen, they're de-escalating just when you're about to fly through the roof, that there may be an overwhelm. They may be afraid of the depth and the truth and the reality of what's happening right now between the two of you. There's probably a fear of intimacy there. Okay, here's some thoughts and reflections. Think about it. Let me know.